Hey, this is Zulem Urbina, and tune into the relay for the latest news in boxing all around the world. Thank you for supporting myself and other female boxers. We truly appreciate it.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. I'm sure most of you have heard by now, per a tweet from Michael Benson. A Stanionis versus Virgil Ortiz has reportedly been postponed for a third time and won't take place on Saturday night because Virgil has been forced to withdraw again. Virgil Ortiz fainted and was hospitalized, hence why his fight versus a Stanionis has been postponed for a third time. Stanionis' manager, Shelly Finkel, has said, "The first time the fight was postponed, it was due to a Stanionis suffering an appendicitis and needing surgery. The last two times it was on Virgil Ortiz's end, rhabdomyolysis flare-ups. The onset of that condition is as a result of someone pushing their body to its limit, pushing their body too hard." Virgil Ortiz is already very big as far as welterweights go, and because he's a young guy, his body is still growing, or it's supposed to be. Thus, continually trying to make welterweight is taking a toll on him, a toll that may be irreversible if the gossips are true. Then why does he do it? Why is he still at welterweight? Well, it's based on the profile of the division, likely the fact that he's so close to fighting for an alphabet title. That might have something to do with it. Preliminary reports suggest Virgil Ortiz had to be given CPR and resuscitated before being taken to the hospital after what was a disastrous weight cut. Squeezing down to 147. I mean, it is true that welterweight has more of a profile than junior middleweight, though Virgil Ortiz continually making that weight, being so far away from the high-profile fights like a Spence fight. But it's not like he was about to get it. He wasn't. Errol Spence Jr. is about to take on Terrence Crawford, and win, lose, or draw, win, lose, or fall. Beyond that fight, he's not staying at welterweight, so if the idea was that they're going to keep Virgil there so he can pursue an Errol Spence Jr. fight, or worse, pursue a vacant title, they may have costed this kid his career in the process. Based on the stuff that I'm hearing, the future does not look bright for Virgil Ortiz, even after he recuperates. Oscar De La Hoya, who promotes Virgil, has indicated that Virgil Ortiz will now move up to super welterweight. He's a big kid, so I think 154 would be ideal. I feel that 154 is going to be his ideal weight to become a world champion real soon. Wide-eyed optimism. If you're connected, if you're in the loop, then you'll know that the implications in association with these rhabdomyolysis flare-ups that Virgil has been having, they may have ravaged his body to the point to where he's a shot fighter, he's damaged goods, and he'll never be what people thought he would be. Don't shoot the messenger. But that's the talk around town. That's what the rumor mill is spinning, that his dad, behind closed doors, this kid's dad is pushing him so hard to where he may have in effect ended his son's career before it really even started. That's what people are saying. In truth, he should have moved up a long time ago. It's not worth gambling your health for the prospect of picking up a vacant title, because in all likelihood, he was never going to get Errol Spence Jr. in the ring. So the most that he could have got out of a welterweight campaign is a newly vacated title. That's it. You think about the current situation in the men's junior middleweight division, all the titles at junior middleweight may end up being redistributed as a result of Jermell Charlo moving up to take on Canelo. Could have just as easily picked up a vacant title at junior middle instead of waiting around at welter. Sacrificing his health in the process. If he would have moved up some time ago, he may have already gotten in position to pick up a vacant title at 154, which would have been an easier weight to make for him. The implications of all of this, the gossips, the rumors, that Virgil Ortiz is never going to be the same. Don't shoot the messenger. Twitter user that goes by the name Father of the Year stated, "Everything went to shit after Virgil left Robert Garcia, and that is the uncomfortable truth." The sharp decline we've seen in Virgil's career. A little over a year ago, in March of last year, news broke that Virgil Ortiz had split from Robert Garcia, trainer with a lot of experience, who's trained a lot of fighters, a lot of champions. Perhaps you can pinpoint. You have to wonder, if Virgil had never left Robert Garcia, if he were still with him now, would this be happening? It seems that his father was the one who took up the reins of training his son after all of that took place, and per the rumors, per the gossips, this is a guy who was pushing his son too hard. Charkins back to an article, a boxing scene article I read a couple of days ago by way of two-division champion and Hall of Fame inductee Timothy Bradley, who was calling for father and son duos in boxing
to be banned.
You heard that right.
What may have seemed like a hot take a few days ago seems like a lot of wisdom on Timothy Bradley's part here and now.
Timothy Bradley, who took issue with the ways father and son relationships tend to deteriorate in boxing, and how the fathers may not always have their sons' best interests in mind. For Bradley, a father can be involved in his son's career, just not as the head trainer. It just needs to be banned. Bradley said on the 3 knockdown rule, "I think boxing needs to ban father and son partnerships. Ban it. Your father cannot be your trainer. Your father, he can be in your corner, whatever, but he cannot be your trainer. I think it should be banned. Honestly, man, you said it right there, man. The relationship between a father and son is horrible. And when they get into these tough matches, you see these fathers not stepping in and stopping fights, letting fights go on too late. And then, you know, financially, I mean, I don't even want to go down that road. I'll go down that road another time with you guys as far as fighters."
He's likely thinking about that Gabe Flores fight. Gabe Flores, who got the shit beat out of him by Luis Lopez, the shit beat out of him again by Giovanni Cabrera, and both times they didn't throw the towel. They didn't pull him out.
His father didn't. I should say he's one of these guys that has a boxing dad. Tim Bradley continued,
"I'll go down that road another time with you guys as far as fighters being in possession of their fathers and so on and so forth. That sucks, man."
oftentimes when it comes to these fighters, it's their fathers that introduce them to the sport. It's their fathers that are the guiding light for the early portions of their career. But in the latter stages, as their careers pick up and they need more than their fathers can provide,
more knowledge,
or perhaps just a healthier corner, a healthier environment. In the case of Virgil Ortiz, that's what comes to mind. These father and son boxing duos,
it's not healthy.
It can become toxic. In some ways, that's what we see with Teofimo Lopez and his father, Lopez Sr., and according to rumors, according to gossips, that's very much the situation with Virgil Ortiz and his father, who, as stated, pushes him too hard.
You see how it breaks down. The son, he doesn't want to let his father down, so he tries to adhere to his counsel as best as he can, even if it breaks him.
The fathers, they think they're doing right by their sons, giving them a bit of tough love, but they're pushing them too hard.
They don't realize it, I think.
Rhabdomyolysis ain't nothing to play with.
Nope.
That can be a life-threatening condition.
I mean, I'm no doctor, but it's my understanding that rhabdomyolysis can leave someone changed permanently,
causing damage to vital organs. For someone like a Virgil Ortiz, an athlete, they may never be able to perform up to scratch as a result.
It's unfortunate.
But the prognosis, at least based on the gossips, the prognosis for Virgil is looking bleak.
The prognosis for Virgil's boxing career, I'm sure that he can be nursed back to health.
He can, but his career in the sport of boxing
is not looking good.
Not according to the gossips. According to Oscar de la Hoya, who promotes young Virgil, he was dehydrated and fatigued. Oscar de la Hoya himself would like to see Virgil move up to 154, and he says the reason why Ortiz fainted was due to dehydration and fatigue. But that must be a severe case of dehydration for him
to not only pass out, but for CPR to have to be administered before he was hospitalized.
For Virgil's sake, I hope that not all the rumors are true. In fact, for Virgil's sake, I hope that none of the rumors are true, and that somehow, some way, he can resume his career. And when it comes to Oscar, you must understand that this is the 3rd time this fight has been called off, and this is the 4th fight overall at Golden Boy Promotions. The 4th fight that has been called off
in the last 12 months.
There are the 3 postponements to this fight between Virgil and Stanionis, and there is also what was supposed to be the Zurdo Ramirez versus Gabriel Rosado fight, what was supposed to be Zurdo's rebound fight.
Oscar really needs to get his house in order.
Ryan Garcia trying to jump ship, cross over to some other side of the street to have fights with the fighters that are over there instead of what Golden Boy Promotions can provide him with.
Right.
Oscar de la Hoya needs to spend less time on Twitter shading Eddie Hearn and more time getting his own house in order, because Golden Boy is in shambles.
There's no other way to put it.
Seems like every one of Golden Boy Promotions' flagship fighters are falling by the wayside. Ryan, Virgil, Zurdo, Sinicia Estrada jumped ship a long time ago, it seems. She was right to do so. They still have Marlena Esparza. She's going to be fighting this weekend.
Her unification match with Gabriela Alanis, which we will discuss in another video.
The show will go on. It's my understanding that Floyd Schofield's fight has been bumped up to the main event.
What should
Oscar needs to focus up. He needs to spend less time on Twitter, less time trading barbs with Eddie Hearn online, and more time getting his own house in order.
How do you imagine all of this looks to the higher-ups at the Zone?
How do you imagine Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya, Eric Gomez and Bernard Hopkins? How do you imagine they look?
How do you imagine all of this looks to Joe Markowski and the people at the Zone?
Oscar really needs to focus up because Golden Boy Promotions is in a bad way.
Bad.
Somebody's got to take control. Somebody's got to captain the ship. And who better to captain Golden Boy Promotions than the Golden Boy himself? Now, in spite of one welterweight contest this weekend being canceled, the silver lining is there still is another. Boots versus Villa. Roman Villa, who says, Ellis, Boca Chica said they beat me. Who ended up winning?
I still have Jaron Boots Ennis winning the fight.
Though I can hardly begrudge Roman Villa backing himself, even if most others are not. Roman, who says, I know that most fighters study tape and see what their opponents are going to do, Villa told BoxingScene.com, according to his translator, but I feel like when you do that, you start thinking more about what the other guy is going to do, and you stop realizing what you can do and what you can discover about yourself. And you kind of psych yourself out in the process. So ever since I was a kid, I refused to watch any of my opponent's fights, because in the end, I can adapt to absolutely anything. If Ennis wants to fight orthodox, then he can go ahead. If he wants to fight southpaw, then I'll adapt just like that. My style of fighting is one size fits all, and I'm able to overcome and adapt to anything that my opponent might do.
Boxing doesn't work like that. Boxing math.
In Roman Villa's own mind, his style might seem adaptable. In his own mind, his style might seem like one size fits all, but that's really because he goes into every fight fighting the same fight.
That's what pressure fighters do, and that's what Roman Villa is, a pressure fighter.
He was an underdog against Rashidi Ellis, but Villa scored 2 knockdowns during the 12th round and edged Rashidi Ellis by majority decision. January 7th on the Gervonta Davis versus Hector Luis Garcia undercard at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. Those 2 knockdowns accounted for the differences on the cards of judges David Braslow and Paul Wallace, whereas Judge Tammy Jenkins scored Villa versus Ellis a draw. The 2 knockdowns did make the difference, Villa said. I'm well aware of that. Ellis probably won the first half of the fight, but that's why we fight until the final bell, until the last few rounds were very important. I was able to prevail in those rounds, and then I came out with my hand raised.
I don't think things are going to work out for Roman Villa this weekend. I don't think this weekend's fight is going to go the distance. I'd be surprised if it does.
Roman Villa is the exact opposite of what Jaron Boots Ennis faced in his last fight with Karen Chukatsian, where Karen Chukatsian is a mobile, defensively minded fighter. Roman Villa is the opposite. He's a come-forward, aggressive, pressure guy.
Jaron Boots Ennis won't have to look hard to find him.
And given Jaron Boots Ennis' size and punching power, Jaron Ennis, by way of knockout or technical knockout, is likely.
This will be a solid scalp for Jaron Ennis.
So boxing fans, fear not. In spite of one welterweight contest this weekend being called off, there still is another, and in all likelihood, this contest will end by way of knockout.
Yeah, this is going to be an action fight.
Roman Villa would do wise to understand that Jaron Boots Ennis is not Rashidi Ellis. He's not a pure boxer, and he's not going to spend the majority of the rounds waltzing around the ring. He wants to take you out just as much as you want to take him out.
He's got the power to do it.
I think he does. I think this weekend, Jaron Boots Ennis is going to go back to looking like a wrecking machine. And finally, in men's heavyweight news, it was officially announced earlier today, Usyk versus Dubois to headline August 26th, TNT Sports pay-per-view from Wrocław, Poland.
Most of the major players at heavyweight have announced their upcoming fights, save Tyson Fury,
who's rumored to be facing an MMA fighter in his next fight. BoxingScene.com has learned that the Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois title consolidation bout will headline a TNT Sports pay-per-view event, as previously reported by Boxing Scene. The fight is set for August 26th at the Stadium Wrocław in Wrocław, Poland. The event will be the first boxing pay-per-view under TNT Sports, the brand new name for BT BT Sport, which is due to go live July 18th in the UK. Social media platform International Boxing News was the first to provide an update on the platform. Representatives from K2 Promotions and Queensberry Promotions, representing Usyk and Dubois respectively, did not respond to separate inquiries from Boxing Scene.
Seeking confirmation.
The WBA ordered Usyk to enter into a world title consolidation clash versus London's Dubois, who holds the WBA regular heavyweight title. The matter went to a May 25th purse bid hearing won by K2 Promotions with a massive bid of $8 million, far outpacing the $5 million amount submitted by Queensberry.
Then how is it that TNT Sports or BT Sports or whatever they're called now, how is it they're showing this fight if K2 has the rights?
Well, the people at K2 are likely allowing the people at Queensberry and TNT, otherwise known as BT, to show this fight for a price.
It features one of their fighters. It features Daniel Dubois.
So of course they would like to be involved in some way. At minimum, they would like to show the fight to their subscribers in the United Kingdom, and the people at K2 are likely allowing them to do that for a price.
They sold them the UK rights. That's my best guess.
And after this fight, there will only be one reigning WBA champion of any kind in the men's heavyweight division. Lest we forget, this is part of the WBA's title consolidation.
They've been at this for months. I think they've been at this for a little over a year now, phasing out secondary titles.
If Usyk wins or Daniel Dubois wins, the secondary title will be phased out, and there will only be one WBA champion of any kind in the men's heavyweight division.
Now, I have Usyk winning the fight.
Based on what I saw from Daniel Dubois in the Kevin Lorena fight, and based on what I saw from Usyk in the two Anthony Joshua fights, Usyk is the favorite to me. Usyk should make short work of Daniel Dubois.
If Kevin Lorena can knock you down 3 times, imagine what Usyk might do to you with that lead left hand.
Alexander Krasiuk, who promotes Alexander Usyk, targeted Poland given his financial backing in the area, along with the bordering nations' increased Ukrainian population since the start of Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine.
There's a lot of Ukrainians in Poland right now waiting out the war.
The event was originally targeted for August 12th, but pushed back 2 weeks to coincide with Ukraine Independence Day, August 24th.
Well, we know who's got the UK rights to the fight, TNT Sport. Who's got the US rights to the fight? How do we see it here in America?
We don't have that answer yet. I mean, it's possible that the people at ESPN, they might decide to pick it up, show it here in the United States. They might, or maybe DAZN might pick it up. Maybe they'll show it.
It's hard to imagine that 3 of the 4 major titles at heavyweight will be on the line, and nobody in America, nobody in this side of the world will show the fight. I'm confident that either ESPN or DAZN, somebody's going to show it.
Somebody'll pick it up, likely for a price.
K2 won the purse bid for this fight by a whopping $8 million.
They've likely made some of that money back by selling the UK rights to the fight to TNT, and maybe they can make some more of that money back by selling the US rights to either ESPN or DAZN.
In tandem with whatever they make at the gate.
Whatever money they generate in Poland, in tandem with whatever money they generate in the UK and the US and anywhere else they're showing the fight.
They should do all right.
This is about as close to a homecoming fight as Usyk is going to get, except it's not actually at home.